All right, back down in the shop, and what we've got going here is I just got done spraying hopefully the last coat on this, and it's looking good. It's looking nice and clean. So we'll let that set up, we'll let that dry. I'm moving outside. It's actually getting nice out here again. All right, what I'm working on now is I am just going ahead and with a little Dremel tool grinding away, and it looks like I'll need another little sanding drum. So I've got all the little ones taken care of now. Let's see if I can do this. Of course it's going to be crooked, but so these are all set up, ready to go. And now I just got to start working on the last 4 big ones, and the big ones are taking a lot longer because you see how much material I've got to remove. Got to remove probably, I don't know, 80 thousandths of an inch around in the circle. So I'm just doing that outside because I don't want that dust, you know, going on that side. So let me. So anyway, I'll go out. I'll get that all finished up, and then bring it back in just to see what it looks like with all the gauges in. They're not going to be glued in yet. Those will get done when I get the hot glue gun fired up and ready to go. But I want to go ahead and repaint the face of that thing again, and I may just come in and lightly sand or bevel the edges. I haven't decided what I want to do with that one yet, but of the circles. So let me get back to work on that outside, and I'll bring you back in when it's when all the grinding's done. All right, it is done. See if I can make sure everything is in frame. That's the way she's gonna look. You can see that I gotta come in, so I'm gonna do a quick little sand on this, get it all repainted, let it dry, and then I'll get everything lined up. I still gotta do something with that guy, so I'll take this upstairs and see what I can find and print out to the right size, cut it up, throw it in there, and we'll be good as gold. So there it is. There's the instrument cluster. And this is kind of pretty much how it's gonna look. Let's see how well we can see this. How it's gonna look when it's mounted up inside there. So it should be pretty good. So that's enough of this part. So that, like I said, that's all off camera stuff. I'm still waiting for that to dry till I can touch it. That's been maybe a half hour, because that's about how long it took me to do those 4 holes to get them ground out right. And I want to make them a little bit bigger. They're still a little bit on the tight side. So let me go ahead and pretty much for you guys, I'll call this a night, and then we'll get started on something else tomorrow. I got to figure out what I want to work on tomorrow. I've got a lot of stuff to do. Like I said, traveling up north. See if the when I can have the vinyl cut. So if not that, I've got not much to do. I mean, we're coming down to crunch time on this. So we're almost done. Almost done. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the shop. It's the 29th of April. It's cold outside again. It was below freezing tonight. It's warming up. It's supposed to hit, I think, low 50s today. So, as of right now, she's still inside. I got to get everything outside, and I'm waiting for the sun to crest over the top of the house before I get outside. But I'll get everything set up in here. I want to work on the my little wing fairings up on the top. I want to get that all cut out and attached into place, and I'll be doing that outside. And what I ended up doing is I ended up going to the local auto parts store because I could not find my little T fittings. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting good enough flow through these things because it's just a little bit smaller than this, but I think it's gonna work. When I take the cowling off, because I've got to take the cowling off, I've got to get everything ready for the big start tomorrow. So when I take the cowling off to go in, because I'm going to be using red Loctite on the exhaust bolts, and I want to get I've got to get all the tubing run today too through it. So it's going to be a whole lot of stuff done outdoors. That's why I'm waiting for it to warm up. So yeah, it's got a lot of stuff to get done today just so I can have it fired up tomorrow. So yeah, I think these are going to be close enough. I want to measure. I want to get an indication with just some calipers of the fitting going into the carburetor. So just as long as I'm not stepping down, it's got enough meat on these things. If I needed to, I could run a wire size drill bit through it just to open it up a little bit to get it up to the same size as that. But if I don't have to, I'd rather not. So let me get everything set up here in the shop, and then I'll bring it back in when I'm getting ready to start cutting the fairing material, because I've got it figured out in my head, and it's a dangerous place to be. But I got it figured out on how I want to do it. I've just got to make some measurements and make the decisions before I start cutting. I do have enough material where I'm not worried about running out of material, so if I screw up the first couple pieces, that's no big deal. So we'll be good to go there. So as soon as I get everything cleaned out, organized, better than it is right now, I'll go ahead and get everything reset up, and then I'll let you know how I'm going to attack this little problem. Alright, I've got everything set up to the best I can for what I'm working with in here. Got the plane outside, just cleared off enough spot, as you can see, of the mess to work. So what I'm doing is I've already got one piece cut, and the way it's going to work out is that I've got about 450 thousandths, a little bit more. It's just shy of 5 inches, about 475-ish. So I figured give myself a little bit of wiggle room. So I dropped it down to what I'm going to need on the fuselage itself is 450 thousandths. So what's going to happen is with the 300 thousandths, and it very nicely works out to 3/4 of an inch, I have to double stack 450 thousandths. So I've got to, after I get this all cut out, I've got to cut out 2 strips of 450 thousandths to attach to the bottom of this. So that's on the fuselage, and that's to give me, 30 thousandths of clearance between the top of the wing and this little fairing, because I really don't need it. I'm just covering the gap between the wing and the fuselage. So what I'm doing to get these things straight, I've already got one side straightened out, and the side I just cut is just, it's not 100% straight to my liking. So here's what I'm doing, and it's relatively easy to do. I've got a piece of plywood underneath it, and then what I do is I put it so I've got maybe a 1/16 of an inch of clearance down here, and I lean on it, and then I just come in with a big sanding block, and when I sand it in a downward slope like this. And what that's doing is that's knocking off all the high points, and then when you come in you feel it, it feels like a nice straight line. Then I can come in with a finer block, because I think this is maybe 80 grit or a little bit rougher than that. Then what I can do is I can come on in with this, which is 120 grit, and then do the same thing. Just come across it and just lightly dress it. I've already got it straight, so I don't need to go at that angle. I could just come straight across like this just to dress it up, and then when it's smooth, I'll make my marks and then cut the next piece. Now this one, I've got to feel. This side here is the side, there's a couple little bumps in it. So this side I've got to dress up. So I cut them a little bit wide, because a little bit wide, which are a little bit long, is better than a little bit short. So anyway, that's how I'm doing with this one. So as soon as I get all this stuff cut up, I will set everything up and take you outside, because the wind's starting to pick up. So I'll put my little booty sock on the mic, and I'll show you kind of how things are going to progress with the way it's going to get attached, and that's going to be the fun part, because I'd like to have another set of hands today, but I don't. So yeah, so let me get everything cut, and I'll bring it back, and then we'll head on outside. Alright, welcome back to the out of doors. It's actually kind of nice out today right now. It's supposed to only hit 52, but in the sun with no wind, it feels pretty warm. Alright, so here's what I'm doing, and hopefully the YouTube won't block this video, or want to, because the neighbor's playing music very loudly, and YouTube likes picking up on anything that sounds like music. Alright, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see this nicely, because there's too much glare on the camera for me, but I think we're lined up pretty good. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, I've already got these things put together, and what I did was up in the leading edge up here, I used some contact cement just to stick the two together, just so it's going to hold position here. Now the very first thing I need to do, I've got my indicator marks, although you won't be able to see it, but that's exactly where I need to start it at, and the proper distance away. I'm hoping. It's at the point right now where it's just very difficult to see everything out here. So what I need to do is start with the first screw going in here, and that's going to be the hinge point to line everything else up. I've already got little hash marks on the fuselage where this needs to go up against, and because these two pieces are still untaping themselves, they're free to move because I can't cut. Let me bring it on around. I can't cut the tail end of this off until I get everything through the arc, because what it does is when you bend it, you can see the flex in it. It's what it's doing is it's pushing this piece farther back. So the tape is just kind of temporarily in place just to kind of hold things in, because I don't want to keep having to fudge with getting the two edges to meet. So, and as you can see, the tape's coming off, so I'm just going to be fighting it. So I'll go ahead and get these things screwed in, and as soon as they're screwed on in, I'll bring it back with hopefully a thumbs up. All right, it is put on. I'm still, I couldn't come down much farther than this because of this curve. It was just going to get too tough with the 2 layers. You can see this little black line. That's how much it pushed forward even after I put the screw in. So this will be trimmed off. I've already got the back side trimmed off to length. I just got to round this little inside corner. So this one's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other side taken care of. And then once the other side's done, I'm going to put the wings on. So I'll bring you guys back when I'm doing the wing installation, just so you can see that hopefully they'll fit very nicely. Alright, I got one. It's not hooked up. It's just sitting there. Something I don't like doing. Let's get the other side on. That side's looking pretty good. I'm hoping this side's going to look just the same. Uh-oh. I got to move something around real quick. There we go. All right, now we're good. Patience, grasshopper. All right, it's looking good. Let's go take a look. Okay, came out just the way I wanted it to. It touches in a couple spots, but then there's a couple other little spots where it's raised up. I really didn't want it rubbing on the fabric. So that's why I was trying to minimalize the way it is. And what's up here, it's just barely touching. If you press down, it's not really going down, but it's not compressed up hard against it. I've got these little dabs up here, and I'm still trying to figure out if I want to try to readdress this situation on the leading edge. Right now, I'll leave it the way it is, but this side's the same way. That's a really good fit. And then once these things get painted up, you won't notice we had that little bit of a wing gap. So that's kind of in real life, that's what that's for. So you can see the little gap down here on the bottom. And this is how I get CG. I put my little CG dots. All it is, it's just a piece of masking tape with some medium or thick CA with some kicker. And it's a little thing just so when you hold your finger under here, you know where your CG is. So no, we're good to go. All right, so these things just need to be taken off and painted and reinstalled. And then that too is done. So now I'm going to tear into this. I'll just leave these things on here just for the time being. I think I've got the new hardware for the landing gear, so I got to work on all this stuff too. But next is to take this off and to go in with some red CA, my gosh, with some red thread lock and put it on the exhaust, and then we'll get the fuel lines hooked up. Who knows, she might be fired up today. I'm shooting for tomorrow, but you never know. It's about 2 o'clock and I haven't even taken a break yet today. Those little things out there, I've been working on those things for probably 4 hours total time. It's been a lot more aggravating. It has been aggravating. It's just more time consuming. And to get those things so that the lines are straight, that's where, I don't want to call it a stress level. But I had to go, when it was still cool this morning, it was too hot in here in the shop. I had to go walk outside a couple times just to cool down, because I was starting to break a sweat just from the, because you don't want to screw those things up. So anyway, all right, let me, I'll get everything taken care of with the motor and the fuel system. It's probably still going to wait till tomorrow morning when it's going to be warmer than it is now. But these got to get painted up tonight. If I get them painted up today, I know for a fact that I can go ahead and install these things tomorrow without an incident. because I'm not too worried about that. I think I'm going to keep the top piece and the bottom piece, that little spacer. I think I'm going to leave them separate, just in case I have the top piece, something happen to the top piece, I don't have to worry about making the bottom piece. That's the way my mind works. So regardless, I'll bring it back when I got the fuel system hooked up. All right, it's the end of the day. It's probably 6 o'clock-ish. You can see by the sun, getting closer to the horizon. All right, we've pretty much just about got everything ready to go, with the exception of gasoline. I've got everything hooked up. I just got to get a new batch of gasoline with some oil mixed in with it to fire her up. Here is where we are currently at. We got the dashboard in, the battery's up. I've got this hanging loosely here. I'm ordering up some more extensions. I had to double piece this, so there's 2 extensions onto this wire, and I want to have these things strapped up above, because I'll show you on the other side. As much as I would like to run wires through here underneath this with the bungee cords underneath, there we go, with the bungee cords underneath, if anything snaps and a bungee cord unravels, I don't want these wires getting hit. Right now I've got this one running through here just for a little bit extra room, but this is going to have a longer extension on it because this one's got 2 extensions on it as well. So I need a bunch of 12s. So I'll get that taken care of. This I'm plumbing underneath here right now, and this is going to be for the right aileron. The left aileron comes up over here, and then I just need to strap this stuff, sorry about that, strap this stuff off to the side over here as well. I just want to keep it away from that. But no, we got the tank all mounted. It's sitting good. All right, so anyway, need to transition to darker light. It's been a long year and a half, and I'm really excited to have it at this point. I still don't have the lettering for the sides, and so I haven't painted the final stripe on it. But right now, besides that, it's just a matter of getting that engine running and then getting the proper CG. So so it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be windy tomorrow, so I don't know if it's going to be a good day to do it, but it'll be a good day to start the plane up. But what I do I'm just going to try to dig it out here for you if I can see it. Bear with me. Be right back. All right, I found it. I just had to do some looking. Here's what I use for my lead, because lead itself is just to get junk lead. It's the way it's blocked together, or if you go and you get the stick-on tire weights, you still have to deal with the foam. Here's what I do. By shot. So if just say this is number 6 Magnum lead. If you're a hunter and you want to pack your own shotgun shells, which I don't do, this is what you're going to have. And this little bottle is 3.5 pounds of lead, and it's what I use. It's what I use on my sailplanes when I need to balance out a sailplane. I mix it up with a little bit of epoxy, and then you just pretty much just pour it on. So what I'll end up doing is, if I need to add some weight, I'll figure out how much it is. It might only be an ounce or 2. I'll mix it up with epoxy and attach it right here. I'll just put it right on top of the engine mount, because it's a little bit farther off. I could put it to the firewall, but you know what? This is not being used for anything up here, so I can just attach it to it. And then there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. I'll probably pour mine into a little mold made out of foam, and then as soon as it sets up and dries, just break it out of the mold, drill a hole straight down through the middle of it, and a couple bolts and whatever. So it's good to go. So that's what I'll be using. So, but that won't come up tomorrow. Tomorrow is just to get that thing started, with the hopes that everything is going to go great. But we'll get it started and then forge on from there. Well, it's been a good day. See you tomorrow.